Hello and welcome to Sincerely Elvis Presley. I'm Sean. Glad you could join me. Hope you're doing well. Last time we took a look at some vinyl 45s in lots of pretty colours. This time I thought I'd go one better and we'd take a look at some vinyl albums, not only in pretty colours but in colours where the label has pushed the boat out and tried to do something different. So I'm not going to include any just standard coloured vinyl. I'm not really going to include any marbled coloured vinyl as well, because that's become reasonably common, and I think we've all seen a lot of marbled vinyl, so it's not really that different anymore. But yeah, there's some of the stuff that comes out. When you get it out, you think, wow, that looks amazing, and some companies make a real effort. Now, I think you'll see as we go through, this is kind of my top 10, and you'll see that there's one label that really seems to do this thing better than anyone else, or I think they do anyway. But anyway, let's start at my sort of number 10, I guess. And this is a label called Rockwell, based in the UK, and they produced a number of really interesting Elvis releases over a period of years. In fact, I thought Rockwell had kind of finished because they hadn't put anything out for a while, but only last week they announced that they're repressing 3 of their albums in different colours and with different sleeves. So it's nice to see they're still about, because they did produce some interesting stuff. Now, all of these are in sleeves, so there's going to be a bit of glare, but it's not really the sleeve we're interested in, it's the record itself. So Rockwell, most of their releases were put out, I think, in black vinyl, and then there was a coloured vinyl limited numbered variant, and they also did some picture discs as well. So this one is All Shook Up, and this one is, have we got a date? 2009, and this is Elvis Presley 1957 Part 1. And we shall see that this particular one is, I don't even know what to describe this colour as. It's kind of, it is, I guess you could say it's marbled, but it's marbled in a myriad of different colours. And what Rockwell did that I think was really nice is their limited number was always on the label. So, you always had that with the record itself, knowing what number you had. And I think they did issue them in fairly low numbers. I suspect, if I'm right, they might even be limited to 100, the numbered ones, but I'm not entirely sure. If anyone knows, let me know in the comments. But look at that, isn't that a beautiful, beautiful vinyl? It's a kind of marble, but with a little bit of a twist and a kick, I think you'd agree. So there's All Shook Up on the Rockwell label. Now, next we're going to have a release from the official label, Sony Legacy, who don't really push the boat out when it comes to coloured vinyl, it has to be said. They've issued the odd white, green, I think, red, but they're standard colours, they don't really go the extra mile. Even on the collector's FTD label, we only really usually get a standard one colour, although there was that rather pathetic attempt at gold sparkle vinyl for Moody Blue that didn't really sparkle, as we've said before. But this was the release from last year, and this was the National Album Day release From Elvis in Memphis. And this was on Bloody Mary vinyl, and I was particularly impressed because although, yes, you could say this is marbled vinyl, I suppose it is. It does kind of resemble Bloody Mary, because you've got the white in there and the black on the red. So I think that's a really nice colour. And what's interesting to me about this colour is if you look at the exclusive Epic vinyl soundtrack, the Graceland exclusive, they've kind of gone with exactly the same colour as this, or not far off. So they obviously liked that colour. So there is number 9, I guess. And actually I'm going to bundle 2 together at number 9, because this one is kind of similar to this, and this is the Friday Music Elvis NBC TV special, and a rather unimaginative gatefold with this one, unfortunately. But what we'll see with the vinyl of this, it's not a million miles away from what we've just seen, although this one is a sort of darker shade and we don't have the white in it, but it is very similar. And I know I said I wasn't really going to do marble, but I thought I'd pull that one out because it's kind of similar. I think I prefer the Bloody Mary one, although that's pretty nice as well. That's the last of the marble we'll see at number 9. Now we're going into more imaginative territory. So this next release, I think it was a Record Store Day release, or Disc Square Day as it's known in France. And let's ignore the fact that it's probably the most ridiculous title for an Elvis release ever. Elvis is Black. Obviously they were theming it all together with Elvis doing work of black composers and musicians and what have you. But what a spectacularly dumb title, really. But title aside, this is the first VPI release we're looking at, and what's nice about this is they go for double colour, so you get half and half. So the first one, black and white, which is a fantastic effect, isn't it? Doesn't it look amazing? They have done others in this sort of effect. There was a 10-inch of Love Me Tender that was silver and red, but you get three different albums in this set, and each one is split half and half, but with different colour variants. So here we get a nice sort of orange and black. It's a fantastic effect, isn't it? And there's sort of splatters of white there. I don't know if they're... Oh, no, no, they're not. They're bits of paper. But yeah, look at that. Isn't it fantastic? When that's spinning on the old turntable, it looks phenomenal. So there is the orange, and the final one in this little set, I think, is our silver and black. And what we get with the silver and black, the line isn't quite as defined, so you get some bleeding at the edges. But I think that's a fantastic effect. I think it's, as I say, on the turntable, it looks fantastic. So, absolute top release there. We'll gloss over the name of it. In fact, we'll put the box down there. Forget we ever saw that name. Okay, so now we have another VPI release, and this was another Record Store Day release, or Disc Square Day. And this was Elvis the Forgotten Album. This one seems to be glaring more than the others. But as I say, we're not really interested in the sleeves too much, are we? We're here for the vinyl. We're here for the pretty colours. So this one, they go one better than splitting it in 2 colours, and they give us 4. Look at that. I mean, it's phenomenal, isn't it? Really, really, really fantastic. So, as I said, VPI they seem to have this technique of coming up with these wild colours really down pat, because they are by far and away the label that's mostly represented in this top 10. Because we're going to go to VPI again, and we're going to go Cafe Europa on Uniform. Another Disc Square Day release, and this one I think I showed it before way back when I did my 1960 GI Blues video, probably a year ago or getting on for a year ago. So this one gives us 2 LPs, and they called this one Cornetto vinyl. And as I say, this company really seem to be the masters of mad coloured vinyl. Well, mad coloured, it's fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. I love this stuff. Cannot get enough of it. I don't know about you. As I said last time, I know there are some of you out there that are black vinyl purists and prefer to have it just on the black vinyl. And whether that goes back to the days of, you know, when coloured vinyl was of a poorer quality, I'm not sure. But I just love this stuff. I love it. And there's our second one of the set. Phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. Love it. So, where are we now? I've lost count. We're probably at about number... done 5, I think. So now we go to Friday Music again. And this is their release of Elvis in person at the International Las Vegas. And we get... oops. And this one is a kind of marble, but what I really like about it is the extra colour you get in it. So just look at this. This is a beauty. So it's kind of translucent, but then you're getting your flecks of blue in there, and then you're getting these dollops of gold that sparkle. I mean, it's just beautiful. The techniques that go into these just blow my mind. You know, I can't imagine what I'd have thought when I was collecting when I was a kid if I could have got my hands on things like this. So now we're going to go to, I think this is VPI again. And this is the Christmas album that was released at the tail end of last year. Replica of the Japanese sleeve. And with this one, we got our sort of Christmassy colours. Kind of looks like a stick of rock as well. As I say, VPI, whatever little geniuses you have in your pressing plant, you really do push the boat out. So, I think we've got our top 3 now, and we're back to Friday Music. And this is their Elvis Now release. And this is similar to the international one in that it's a marbled with gold in it. But I just think it's even prettier because it's a sort of really delicate rose, sort of pink and red. It's probably not coming out as pink as it actually is because the light's shining through it. But you've got a sort of pink with the red splashes and then these dollops of sparkling sort of metallic looking gold. I just think that's beautiful. It might, if I put it back in the white sleeve, you'll probably hopefully get the pinkish haze effect a little better. So they're kind of, you know, Friday Music have kind of mastered this look, because I don't consider this just marbled vinyl. I think this is a step above that. So at number 2, we're back to VPI. And this is another, you know, they seem to pull these out for their version of the Record Store Day. And this was the one I showed way back. And this is the French version of it, happened at the World's Fair with alternate takes. And this is on it calls it a marble splatter vinyl, but I think marble doesn't even come close. I just think that is stunning. Utterly stunning. You've kind of got the remnants of the black from what the traditional vinyl was, sort of vying with this beautiful sort of splatter effect. Isn't that fantastic? Don't you think? Absolutely wonderful. So, with all these various releases from VPI filling my top 10, I kind of would have expected that VPI would be at number 1. But VPI aren't at number 1. In fact, number 1 is reserved for a label we haven't seen yet, and that is MRS. Now, MRS do tend to do the coloured vinyls quite often, and they do like a clear vinyl more than anything else. But they really pulled the boat out with this stereo reissue of the Christmas album a couple of years ago, or Elvis at Christmas, which is their variant of the Christmas album. I was never totally enamoured with the sleeve and the sort of it's a bit photoshoppy for my liking, but I can see what they were going with. But what I think they really hit the nail on the head with was the vinyl, because if anything looks Christmassy, it's this beauty. And you know, you've got that snowflake effect, and then in there, and I don't know if it's being picked up, but you've got a sparkle that's way more sparkly than the stab that FTD had with Moody Blue. But doesn't for a Christmas vinyl, isn't that fantastic? So that's my number one, and it's my number one because although there are some more colourful ones in the list, this one really does sum up what the release is about, Elvis Christmas. And you know, it looks snowflakey, it looks icy, it's fantastic. So there's my number one interesting coloured vinyl. But let me know what you think in the comments. I know there are some fantastic ones out there. You know, there are all sorts of imaginative colours. So let me know what your favourite of these 10 is, but let me know what your favourite is, full stop. I'd love to read the comments. Now, before I go, I wanted to give a special mention to a guy called Adrian Payne, who, thanks to Paul Grayson, I got to know of his publication from 1995, actually. It goes back quite a way, and it's his Australian discography and price guide. Now, I love a discography, and I've got the Italian, I've got South American, Japan, Italy, France, UK, obviously. So the idea of getting an Australian guide with all the beautifully detailed releases in it was tempting, too tempting actually. So when I realised through Paul Grayson that this existed, I purchased a copy off Adrian. And what happened was, I think it was about 3 weeks and it hadn't arrived. So I contacted Adrian and said, hi, you know, how long will it take, do you think, to get from Australia? Because it's been 3 weeks now and still no sign. And he said, well, you know, it can take longer. It can take up to 4 weeks. Would you mind giving it another week? I said, yeah, no problem. Anyway, another week passed, didn't turn up. So I contacted Adrian and said, look, it doesn't look like it's going to manifest. And this is why I want to give this guy a shout out, because this blew my mind. This talks of the world of Elvis fans. This talks about just what nice approach to life some people have. He said to me, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'm determined to get you a copy of this book. So I'm going to refund your money and I'm going to send you a track copy, you know, in a couple of days' time when it was past the weekend, which blew me away, you know. So you're going to give me the money I've paid you back and you're going to send me a copy to make sure I get it. And sure enough, here it is. And it's a fantastic publication. I can't praise it highly enough. I just love releases like this. But more than that, you know, what a generous thing to do, to give me my money back and send me a copy anyway. Blew me away. So Adrian, top guy, thanks so much. You've produced a cracker here. Beautiful publication. So there you go. What's happened recently since I've been on? So epic 4K Blu-ray and DVD, although you don't want to be watching something as beautiful and crisp and pristine as epic in DVD's quality. You want Blu-ray or 4K, believe me. But they've put it back, and they've put it back from June to August. The cynic in me thinks, well, they've gone for August because you get a lot of focus on Elvis with Elvis Week and what have you, more sales. Now, I know some people have got their fingers crossed thinking maybe the delays because they could put in extra material on it. I'd love it if that was true. I'd love it. I don't think it is. I really don't. Since when did any of these big companies give us anything special or extra? We always get shortchanged. I think the reason probably is that the movie only opened in cinemas in Japan last week. So this thing's still doing a cinema run on, somewhere in the world. So maybe they thought, well, it's too soon to put the Blu-ray out. I mean, it hasn't even been released in Korea yet, although I believe it will get a cinema run there. So, is that behind the delay? Maybe they think it's too soon to put it out while it's still showing in cinemas somewhere in the world. And if you look on sites like Amazon, you'll see the cover art back and front. So, and that's not a mock-up. You can tell that is the cover art. So the idea that they're going to go in and give us extra material and then redo that cover, I'd love it to be true, but I think it's a forlorn hope, unfortunately. What else? Oh, well, they've a couple of FTD announcements. So we've got the Paradise Hawaiian style chefs. We've got the Paradise Hawaiian style sessions on the way. Now, of course, I've said before, Paradise Hawaiian style is far from my favourite Elvis movie, and things in it like Queenie Wahini's Papaya are far from my favourite Elvis music. And, in terms of the sessions, it won't be like a standard session set, because you won't get him to hear him in the studio with the band fluffing things and having to restart and the band finding their way around arrangements, because apart from Sandcastles, which wasn't included in the movie anyway, the entire soundtrack was overdubbed. So it's not really going to have the flavour of some of the sessions we're used to. But of course we know that Elvis was entertaining himself as he was doing those overdubs with some of the material that he obviously knew was weak. We've heard the fantastic outtakes of Dating and A Dog's Life that were on the silver box back in 1980, where he's just cracking up. So I think it'll be a very entertaining listen, even if it's not quite in the nature of some of the session sets. And of course, if you've got all the session sets, even if you thought it was the worst material in the world, you're going to have to get it, otherwise you've got a big gap. Let's face it. And FTD know that. So I'm looking forward to that one in its own way. And at the same time, they announced a live 4 CD set, I think, called Summer Nights from June 74. That's not something I'll be adding personally to my collection. I've got enough of 74 from MRS last year, and I'm not really a concert collector. So I know that a lot of you will look forward to that one, but that's not one personally that I'll be adding. And actually, on the subject of MRS, anyone know what's going on? I mean, I don't. In the past few years, each year we've been having a set of releases from the year prior to that, so long back. So last year being 2025, we were getting 74. The year before that, 24, we were getting 73, so on and so forth. But we're nearly halfway through this year. Halfway through that last year, I'm sure we'd already had, if not the announcement, then 1 or 2 of their releases from 74 live. This year, where's 75? We've had nothing. Now, I don't know if there's something, because MRS operate in the public domain, the sort of grey market import area. So in Europe, where things are out of copyright, it allows them to release things legitimately. And I think that includes soundboards, so that they can put them through normal distribution. You get them on the likes of Amazon, you get them in normal record shops, HMV, big chains, that kind of thing. And they can do that legitimately because they're not bootlegs. They fall into that public domain. So I don't know if there's something about 75 onwards that's stopping them doing that. If there's some loop, or there's not a loophole that they can exploit there. I'm not sure. But I don't understand why they're not going to 1975. All we have seen from them is announcements of reissues on their cheaper Camden label of things they've already put out. So Like a Black Tornado is coming out as a single release, and then they're going to put 3 of their previous releases of 73 material in a box with 7 CDs in. Now that's great for people that missed out first time, and it's absolute bargain. But where's the 75 stuff? Come on, MRS. I've just put you at number 1 in my coloured vinyl. Get your act together, or, maybe there's a good reason for it, and I don't know. But anyway, you know, I hope you're having a great time. Hope you're all well. Hope you're listening to plenty of Elvis. Hope you're watching Epic as many times as you can on streaming. I just hope you're all doing well. Let me know in the comments how you're doing. Let me know what you think of the coloured vinyl. Let me know what your favourites are. And, well, thanks for watching. I really appreciate it. Hope you enjoyed seeing the pretty colours. And until the next time, take care. Ta-da.
We'll meet you again. God bless you. Adios.